If you are not yet a member of the Patreon, link is in the description. Please consider becoming a member, as you will have access to many videos you cannot find here on YouTube.
See if we can make sense of this cowboy scripted ritual, this fake sacrifice, and how it's connected to Wayne Gretzky and Kobe Bryant.
Oh yeah, Diddy got a podcast.
One of the most popular topics across the internet over the past several weeks has easily been Chud the Builder. For those of you that don't know, Chud the Builder is the white streamer that goes around using racial slurs to try to get a reaction out of people. And as many of you all already know, Chud the Builder was recently charged with attempted murder after an altercation with a gentleman outside of the courthouse. Now, while many people are going back and forth online, debating their opinions on Chud the Builder's behavior and his actions, and if what he was doing was legal or not, and I've definitely had my fair share of opinions on that as well. There's been another angle regarding this topic that I think a lot of people have overlooked, which is the very likely chance that this is all a psyop. And I gave my opinions on this topic just a few days ago. So I want to just make this clear. This Chud the Builder situation controversy, it's all manufactured. None of that stuff is real. Part of the reason that I know that it's not real and that it's manufactured is a couple of different things. His name is Chud the Builder. Builder is another term for Freemasons. What have we religiously talked about on this channel? We've talked about how they stir up division, right? Duality, right? They stir up chaos. This person is an agent of chaos, and look at the time of the year. It's around the midterms. This is all by design. George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor. They always stir up these controversies. Another way that you know that this is not real is that they've allowed this guy to garner up millions of views. Sure, are there exceptions to the rules? What is it? Wrinkles in the matrix. Exceptions, yes. Every now and again, you'll have somebody that may slip up and get a million views or something, or get millions of views. To consistently get millions of views, they will not allow you to do that. And I have since found out that the gentleman that is now hospitalized involved in an altercation with Chud the Builder is actually 33 years old. Well, there's conflicting reports. Some state that he's 31, some states that he's 33, but if he turns out to be 33, this is extremely concerning. Not to mention that his name is Joshua Fox. Fox is a name or term that we've used many times on the channel, as we've explained in gematria, which we'll get into that later in the video. Fox comes out to 666. That should not be a surprise to any of you that follow this closely enough, but let's continue. Now, if you're not new to this channel, then you already know why that number is extremely important. But if you are new to this channel, how are you doing? My name is Demetrius. I go by Didi. I appreciate you all for tuning into Didi Got a Podcast. Please hit the like button on your way in. By the end of this video, you will understand why the age of this gentleman is extremely important and also extremely concerning. Now, numerology is not something I tend to focus on too much on this channel, and I've spoken about this before in the past because numerology is extremely important. I'm definitely not stating it's not important, but when people are first hearing about these topics, I just personally feel that focusing too much on numerology can turn people off, and it cannot be very convincing because some people could look at these numbers that we're about to share in today's video, and they could easily say, well, that's just a coincidence. You're just searching to try to find numbers that might align, and so you have to come with a more convincing argument and then share the numerology on the backside. But in today's video, the similarities and the symmetry between Kobe Bryant's life, career, and death and Kyle Busch, the legendary NASCAR driver who just recently passed away, his career, life, and death, the symmetry between these two people was just too much to be a coincidence, in my opinion. Allegedly. If you're like me, you don't know a lot about NASCAR driving. It doesn't matter. What you have to know is just what happens in this world and the things that they do in the occult, and understanding that numerology is extremely important. And the irony here is I'm actually just starting to work on my Kobe Bryant series on Patreon as of this week. And there's a lot of things that we're not going to discuss in today's video, but I'm already seeing a lot of alignment with Kobe Bryant's story as well. So stay tuned for that. Link is in the description to the Patreon. Let's sort of discuss some of the weird things that's happening between Kyle Busch and Kobe Bryant. And we're going to start this off with the connection to the number 24. As we all know, Kobe Bryant wore the number 24 from the years of 2006 up until 2016 when he retired, which was just about half of his career, right? And at the time of his passing, Kyle Busch was ranked 24th in the Cup Series standings. Also in his career, it spanned 24 years from his debut to his final start this year in 2026. And then on September 4th, 2005, at just 20 years, 4 months old, so there's the 24 again, Kyle Busch actually made history by becoming the youngest winner in NASCAR history. And then on Kyle Busch's 24th birthday, he actually achieved a birthday win at Richmond, which was a pretty big deal. Next, on the December 2nd, 2019 edition of WWE Monday Night Raw, Kyle actually won the WWE, wait for it, 24/7 championship from R-Truth. The next time we see the number 24 as it pertains to Kyle Busch is during his Craftsman Truck Series career. He actually had 24 poles, which the pole position is the best position on the track at the start, if you didn't know. And then there's even a random story from Kyle's wife, Samantha, where she shares on their podcast that Kyle actually needed to get 24 stitches after a freak injury happened while he was working on a home repair.
And I'm in the foyer, and I hear, obviously, it's above me, so I go upstairs. We get up there. We find out it's the one above Brexton, right outside Brexton's room. It's a shorter ceiling than normal, and so I'm like, man, I'm so close. Like, I can almost reach it. I grab this little stool. I see this little stool. It's a 1.5 feet tall. It's about 18 inches tall. It's all I need. So I put the stool down, and I get up on the stool, and as I'm reaching up with my second arm, the stool explodes. Like, I go from 18 inches off the floor to just like a straight poof, down to the ground, and I land on my feet, and I'm holding on to the walls like, I'm good. Everything's fine. I'm all right.
So Braxton comes out. It's like, Dad, you're bleeding.
And as soon as he said, you're bleeding, I look down and I look, and it's not like you're bleeding like a nosebleed. It is like pouring, like you're gushing.
Kyle's like, we're going to the hospital.
I was like, this is hospital, the grade. So now you're driving. I'm in the front passenger seat with my leg propped up on the dash with more towels, the garage towels.
We got to the ER. I guess you could say luckily it was a snowstorm, so it was like a very quiet night at the ER. They were supposed to have a PA stitch you up.
She got freaked out.
She got freaked out because they realized that Kyle was a driver, and she was like, oh, like, I don't want to mess up his leg.
The next odd thing that comes up is that Kobe Bryant, as we all know, quote unquote, passed away on the 26th day of January, so on January 26th. And then Kyle actually passed away on 5/21, just 5 or 6 days ago, depending on when this video comes out. And as we know, 5 plus 21 equals 26. Well, let's get a little bit deeper into the numerology. As I just stated, Kobe Bryant passed away on January 26, 2020. And if you do the numerology, just simply add the first month, that's number 1, the 26th day, that's 27, plus 20, which is the year, that comes out to the number 47. As we know, Kobe Bryant also averaged 4.7 assists per game. And this takes us into the numerology of 47, because Kyle Busch was actually born in Nevada. Now, again, numerology is really big. That's not something we typically cover on this channel, but it's kind of odd when it comes to these two individuals once again, because when you do the numerology for Nevada, that is to say each letter in the name Nevada where Kyle Busch was born, if you were to take the number that the letter falls in the alphabet, so for example, N would be 14, E will be 5, etc., etc. When you add those numbers together, it comes out to 47. Not to mention that Kyle Busch notoriously has a merch deal with the 47 brand. And then Kyle Busch's brother, Kurt Busch, was actually inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame at the age of 47. This is where things start to get even more strange because, as I just stated, Kyle Busch passed away under suspicious circumstances less than a week ago on the 21st in Charlotte, North Carolina. Well, for those of you that are sports fans, particularly the Los Angeles Lakers, you would know that Kobe Bryant spent his entire career in Los Angeles, but he actually wasn't drafted by the Lakers. He was actually drafted by Charlotte. Something else I thought was very interesting is that Kyle actually has 63 career NASCAR Series Cups wins. That could be tied to Kobe because Kobe Bryant infamously told this story one time that I'm actually just recently finding out about. Shout out to Brian, the auditor, that he actually scored 63 points one time at the young age of 8 years old, which is going to be important for multiple reasons later in this video. It says right here, Kobe Bryant once scored 63 points as an 8-year-old. It says right here, scoring has always been effortless for Kobe Bryant. Perhaps nothing illustrates that more than a recent graphic from the NBA's Instagram account following Anthony Davis' 59-point performance. The graphic shows every current player who has scored 59 points or more points in a game: Bryant, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, and Davis. The other 3 players have one such game. Bryant has 5, though he technically has at least 6 if you want to count his output in youth leagues. In an interview on HBO's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, Bryant claimed that he once scored 63 points in a game as an 8-year-old. Wait, what?
I scored my first 60-point game when I was 8.
What did you just say?
I had 63 when I was 8.
You scored 63 points when you were 8 years old. And at that point, are you thinking this is just de rigueur for everyone? Or are you starting to think, okay.
No, but it was something very simple that I figured out at 8 years old, is that other 8-year-olds can dribble with their left hand. So it was something that simple for me. And so when I was guarding the ball, I always make sure I guarded the ball during that game. I'd always just let them have a couple dribbles with their right hand and then jump on their right hand and make them change it over to their left. And they would bobble the ball, fumble the ball. I'd pick it up, go lay it up. And I just did this all game. So I wound up with 63.
Once again, I don't believe it's a coincidence that he stated that this was an accomplishment of his at the young age of 8 years old. And I'm about to explain to you why I don't believe that. Because Kobe Bryant, as we all know, actually passed away at the age of 41 years old. And he's known for not only wearing the number 24, but he's also known for wearing the number 8. Something I'm going to speak about in great detail on my Patreon series. I'm going to try to find a way to put it on YouTube as well. It's going to be like an 8-part series. Something that's going to come up in that series is Kobe Bryant's obsession with the occult. And he wasn't secret about it at all. And as we know, his nickname was the quote-unquote Black Mamba, which, again, more to come on that later in this video as well. But Kobe Bryant was very obsessed with the life, death, and rebirth ritual. And there is something called Ouroboros, which is the infamous snake symbol of it eating its own tail. That is tied to the infinity sign that can also be portrayed as the number 8 if you turn it upside right. Well, Kyle Busch, who has the same initials as Kobe Bryant, KB, also passed away at the age of 41. And Kyle Busch is known for driving the car with the number 8 on it. Not to mention that Kyle Busch is also known for driving the car with the number 33. So it says here, Kyle Busch's car unveiled in Charlotte with new number ahead of Coca-Cola 600. Teams will honor Kyle Busch's legacy in Sunday's Coca-Cola 600. Busch, 41, died after severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis. All right. And as we can see here, there's the 33. All right. As we can see here, they pull out the car. Clearly, you see the number 33 for Kyle Busch. So let's read a little bit more about this. It says Kyle Busch's Richard Childress racing team unlatted the late driver's car Saturday ahead of Sunday's Coca-Cola 600 race in Charlotte, North Carolina. Richard Childress Racing announced it would suspend using Busch's number 8. The car will now compete as number 33. It will be driven by Austin Hill in Sunday's race. What was also important to note here is that Kobe Bryant once again infamously wore the number 33 in high school, which is a very popular number, not just when it comes to Freemasons and the occult, which is where it stems from originally, but this is really big with athletes. You'll see the number 33, Scottie Pippen. It's not a coincidence that he wore this alongside Michael Jordan. I also want to share that on May 21st, I'm pretty sure it was the same exact day that Kyle Busch was announced deceased, the NHL actually honored him during the Canadian versus Hurricane game. And I want you all to check out the first period score, and it was 4-1, right? Which is the same age that Kyle Busch actually passed away. And the odds of that happening, from my understanding, is very slim, because 4-1 is usually like a final score, which the final score essentially ended up being like 6-2. But in this case, it was 4-1 in the first period, which makes it a very high scoring game. Now, a lot of people can say, well, they probably did that on purpose to honor him. What team is going to decide to be down 3 points in a hockey game to honor somebody else, right? Who decides that they're going to lose that game? My ultimate point here is I think this speaks to the fact that sports are rigged. I've been saying this for the longest. I was watching the playoffs this year, speaking of Kobe Bryant in the NBA, and I'm watching the Thunder and the Spurs series, and I'm like, this crap is rigged, bro. Each game, you can see like they're using Wemby more. They're running less plays for him other games. It's like they're rigging this so that they can go 7 games because the NBA can make more revenue. It's better for the ratings. They're getting NBA Finals ratings for the Western Conference Finals. Not to mention that the last game, Wemby scored 33 points to blow out the Thunder, even though prior to the last 2 games, they were struggling against the Thunder. It's just weird. Not to mention that somebody else just found online where it's already stated on the NBA website that the two teams that are NBA final bound are the New York Knicks, who just won against the Cavaliers, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are still currently playing against the Spurs. But I digress. Also found it kind of weird that both Kyle and his wife Samantha seems to have foreshadowed or spoke things into existence literally just before he passed away.
Take whatever you can get, man. You never know when the last one's going to be, so cherish them all, trust me.
And a bow in front of the fans that are all on their feet down here at the Monster Mile. And Michael Waltrip said earlier in the race that a confident Kyle Busch is a dangerous Kyle Busch. Your 69th victory in this series, your 5th right here. Why do these moments never get old, Kyle?
Because you never know when the last one is, so...
Because you never know when the last one is, so,
Here's something I've never told anybody, but it's certified overshare. So a lot of people ask me what we've done with our embryos, because we still have some embryos. I can't part with them. We're paying to freeze them until they have to come with me. I don't know what else to do at this point. Because I love them so much.
Yeah,
and I
you
can't
feel
make
so
a
connected to them.
decision. Yes, and it's really hard. It's actually one thing Kyle and I, he was like, we're done having kids. And I'm like, but what if? I told him the most morbid story the other day. I was like, what if you passed? I would have to have another kid to be connected to you and name that child after you. And he was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, these are the things I think about, Kyle.
Not to mention the circumstances surrounding his death are extremely suspicious as well, as the cause of death wasn't officially announced when everything first happened, and then it later would be said that he passed from pneumonia that turned into sepsis, as we just read.
Kyle Busch yesterday at the age of 41. Take a look at this X post there on your screen coming from TMZ Sports. Kyle Busch's number 8 will be reserved until his son's NASCAR career. That news just coming today following this devastating news, this fresh tragedy for the NASCAR community and the sports world as a whole. This sudden passing of Kyle Busch at just 41 years old has really sent shockwaves everywhere, and the chilling details are emerging from the 911 call. Kyle Busch's medical emergency has been partially revealed by 911 audio that was obtained by TMZ Sports, with the caller saying the NASCAR superstar was struggling to breathe, overheating and coughing up blood before the medics were there to help. So joining us to look more in depth at this is TMZ's Anakin Shed. Thanks so much for being here. So first things first, let's just talk about what exactly did we hear in this 911 call?
Yeah, so this 911 call came from, we don't know who exactly, but we do know that it was probably someone from the facility where Kyle Busch was out doing his racing simulator. And essentially what we do know is that at some point while he was in that racing simulator, we don't know exactly why, and I feel like a lot of this is going to be tied to when we actually get the actual medical result of what ended up ending his life. But he was in a racing simulator. He started feeling warm, started feeling short of breath, hard to breathe, blood started coming out of his nose, his mouth. He was found collapsed on the floor of the bathroom, still conscious. Someone from the facility where he was doing this simulator found him and promptly called 911. In that 911 call, they described those symptoms to the dispatcher. They also said that the ambulance should turn off the sirens as they were approaching the area to pick him up. Naturally, because they didn't want this to become a big scene. And then subsequently afterward, we got that notification that he had suffered a severe illness and would not be able to participate in the races coming this weekend. And then a few hours later, unfortunately, we got the news that he had passed away at the age of 41.
You know, the dispatcher was told that Kyle was very high, experiencing that severe shortness of breath and coughing up blood while awake on the bathroom floor. You know, as more details emerge, you have to wonder how rapidly did his condition deteriorate from, running those laps in the simulator to just collapsing in the restroom?
Yeah, I mean, we do know that that there was an incident in May 10th when he was racing, and towards the end of that race, he actually went on the comms and told his team, "Hey, I'm going to need a doctor once I'm done with this race." Do we know for sure that that incident is tied to the eventual severe illness, as they say? We don't know for sure if there's a connection there, but given the short timeline, I would say we should be quite confident that there is a correlation between those. And that May 10th incident could be a good indicator on what eventually Kyle Busch succumbed to within 11 days of that moment. But we do know that he did race again in the 15th and in the 17th, despite that call on the 10th that he made towards the end of the race on the 10th. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what happened. And I mean, yeah, 11 short days. They said it was a sinus infection. A sinus infection doesn't do that. So it must have been a pretty rapid progression of whatever it was that ended up taking his life.
And the reason why that's suspicious, for obvious reasons, outside of just the news clip that you just watched, is if you've been following the channel long enough and you've been following my Diddy series, I literally have a P. Diddy series on this channel. And something we've spoken about are the suspicious death and near-death experiences around P. Diddy, including his ex-wife, including the musician Al B. Sure, and even the actor, musician, comedian Jamie Foxx. All of them fell ill under really weird circumstances surrounding pneumonia. If you know, you know. Which leads me to my biggest thing that's very odd about the similarities between Kobe and Kyle Busch. Kobe, as many people know and apparently do not know, Kobe Bryant was involved in a legal battle literally weeks before he had settled. He had made a settlement with a pharmaceutical company. He was having a legal back and forth with them over the Mamba name, and they came to a settlement just weeks before Kobe Bryant would, quote unquote, lose his life. I don't believe that's a coincidence, not to mention that Kyle Busch literally came to a settlement with an insurance company after him and his wife discovered some discrepancies just months before Kyle Busch would lose his life. And the number that they settled upon, that is Kyle Busch and this insurance company, was 8.5 million. So there's that 8 number again, not to mention that 8 plus 5 is 13. Why is that important? Because Kobe Bryant was drafted first round, 13th pick. I think this is extremely concerning, and I do not believe it's coincidence that you have all these similarities between these two respective legends in their field, and they both would end up losing their life. Not to mention, not to give too much away on my Kobe Bryant series that I'm working on, but Kyle Busch has this one-eye symbolism, just like these other celebrities. Surprise, surprise. And he also is making the 666 hand signs, just like the rest of these celebrities as well.
See if we can make sense of this Kyle Busch scripted ritual, this fake sacrifice, and how it's connected to Wayne Gretzky and Kobe Bryant. Recently, Wayne Gretzky was at a hockey game doing an intermission report, and the score of this hockey game was 4-1, the age that Kyle Busch died. He was in the booth 113. Kobe Bryant was drafted the first round, 13th pick overall. Wayne Gretzky's birthday is the same exact date as Kobe Bryant's death, January 26th. From that death to Kyle Busch's death, or fake death, is 3 months and 3 weeks, 33. The same as the initials as Kobe Bryant, KB Kyle Busch. What sticks out is the fact that Kyle Busch won $8.5 million in a out-of-court settlement when he sued a life insurance company. This is this year. Before his death, he was in a race talking about how he was sick or ill. Then he has a severe illness and then dies. And then he goes out saying, not once, but multiple times, you never know when it's your last one. When it's like this, when it's too good to be true, then it is. So pretty much they helped his race career, just like they helped Kobe Bryant's career, and to get to where it is so they can remove him out of the way. They did the same thing to Kyle Busch to remove him out of the way, just so they can spoon feed more medical lockdowns. And for you to get your vaccine records stuck in your head and stuck in your arm. Just like the serpent in the days of the garden. He didn't force Eve to eat of the forbidden fruit or the tree of knowledge. He didn't take it and stuff it in her face or stuff it down her throat. He was very subtle in his approach. That's all they're doing, is being very subtle with you that this is what's coming. And they're doing it with these fake deaths.
Nobody should be surprised there. But these are my thoughts, man. I thought this was extremely concerning. Y'all put in the comment section to give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Was this a reach? Do you think there's something here? Of course, we know that there's something here, but let me know what you think is here. What did you get from this video, man? Hop in the comment section, give me your thoughts. I'm Demetrius. I go by DD. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.